That was my first mature buck encounter of the season.
Those are probably the two best bucks that I have right now.
I don't know, it's 50 acres. We're going to call that big deer 50.
Right now, unless something else shows up, he's my number one.
In and ready to go. You can't really see it, but I've got a tree that I'm leaning up against here for cover. That was one of the coolest things I've ever had happen to me in the woods, by far. For those of you out there who are like me and you suck at math, that's 4.5 feet, give or take a few inches. I'm shaking like a limb, and it was a 1.5 year old 6-point. Alright, so it's day 3 of the Kentucky deer season, and I'm on the same farm I was last night when I was self-filming from the ground and had the closest whitetail experience of my life at 4.5 feet. This place is littered with bucks. We've got a big, heavy 10 that I call Acorn Top, who was an 8 2 years ago. We didn't see him last year. We've got another deer I call Toots that we've been watching and following all summer. He's a big mainframe 9. It'd mean a lot to kill one of these deer, because it's my great-grandfather's farm. And he's 92, so this is kind of where my roots are, so I'd love to take one of these good bucks that we've got on camera over here. It'd mean a lot. That was my first mature buck encounter of the season. We had a young 2.5-year-old 8 come across the ridge in front of us. Watched him for 20 minutes. Heard a buck grunt down here to my right. And he come out of the corn into the finger right here in front of me. Went down into the creek and went the other direction, and then the little buck followed. But I think that first buck was 2.5. It was a super cool encounter. Seeing them like that, it's almost as much fun as shooting them. We still got plenty of time for one of our bigger deer to come in, so we're gonna sit tight.
Well, I got out here to one of the spots where I got pictures of a really nice buck that we're going to call 50. I just checked the camera yesterday, and he's been on there quite a bit. But I was driving around out here, and one of the 3-year-olds that we have, big, solid, really good 10-pointer, he's laying out here in these beans. There's actually another buck further up the hill, smaller little 8-pointer that I've got on camera too, so it's kind of cool to see these deer just living out here in these beans, you know, just laying out there all day. I don't know, it's 50 acres. We're going to call that big deer 50. So hopefully I can maybe get some footage of him before these beans get harvested and these deer start sucking back into the timber. So,
dude, he's so big. Look at his body.
Dang, dude, that's a huge deer.
Dude, he's running right into where we want.
This deer is definitely a mature deer. We're gonna call him 50. Just a big, massive, big-bodied mature deer. He's gonna be our #1 target, so I'm excited to see how this story kind of unfolds with him. We got a couple spots maybe picked out for him. We put in a scrape post. I got a camera out here. I actually went and sprayed some clethodim on some of this grass. Fortunately enough, the landowner had some clover in there that just kind of got overgrown by grass, so I went in there and sprayed it. Since this farm is only 50 acres, we got to be really careful about what we do, how we access, where we hunt, how we hunt, where the wind's blowing. So I'm not going to have very many opportunities, I think, at this buck, but if he does stay in here, we'll try to stay out of here and just run our cameras until we think the time's right and to make our move. But that little clover patch should be a decent little spot to catch him coming out of that bedding and maybe even hitting that scrape post. So we're going to keep running cameras here for the rest of September, October, and hopefully he sticks around and we can get a chance at him here this fall. As far as Missouri goes, that actually opens on Sunday, the 15th. So we're excited to get down there. We don't have any bucks showing up. We actually went down and replanted our food plots. For whatever reason, we think the soil was too cloddy and just didn't grow, didn't have much rain on it. So we went back down there, got some autumn quick plot in, put in a couple of scrape posts, and so hopefully by the time those plots take off, you know, maybe later on in October, early November, they'll be hot spots. We're just looking to shoot a doe, probably opening day. You know, maybe we get lucky and have a buck walk by us and be able to wrap our tag around him. But excited to see how this farm shakes out, see if this deer that I'm calling 50, if he kind of moves back into this area or if he moves off onto a different farm. There's not very many connecting pieces around here, so I feel like he's got to suck into one of these little draws or patches of timber around here. So stick with me, I'll keep updating you guys as the story unfolds, and hopefully that deer sticks around.
Here it is, September 9th. One thing I wanted to do this year was more shooting, so we're going to head out here to the 3D course, fire a few, and see how we do today. Boy, that wind is brutal right there. I don't know, we're going to need a judge's call on that one. Yeah, she's close to a 10 anyway. Set right in here for the old Smirky. See what we got here. Looks like about a solid 30 spotter, just guessing. Mainly just high, really, just a hair to the left as well for an 8. Man, this is a cool shot. Across the pond, and this is a poke over there. Gonna be in the 50s, I'm sure. .5. So other than just trying to get some more shooting in, we've just been finishing up food plots, and we just caught a rain on it yesterday morning, or I guess last night. So those should be up good, and we're just running trail cams. A lot of fun doing that. I'm always excited this time of year to run the cams and see the bucks from the previous year and see new bucks, you know. So we've got a couple we haven't found yet. Page's muzzbuck. Of course, the fear is that, you know, the buck winter killed, but I don't know, maybe just moved off for the summer and it'll be back this fall. Captain Jack, I haven't seen that buck yet either, but we have seen a few of them. Picket fence we've got. Wolverine, we just named that buck here a couple weeks ago. Those are probably the two best bucks that I have right now that they're pretty consistent too. They're using the same area, so I like our odds going after those bucks. But we'll continue to move our cameras over to scrapes. That's what we're doing right now, and get some practice in with the Hoyts. So fun time of year.
To wrap up the interview, I'm going to talk about how I pattern deer, how I find back the bucks that I'm going to hunt, and then how I pattern them going into the season. We had a lot of fun filming on the clover fields and the bean fields this summer, but that information doesn't necessarily translate into what we find once the season opens. The bucks usually will have a summer range and a fall range. Sometimes they overlap, but they don't always overlap. So a lot of times you have to find them back again once they break up their bachelor groups, shed their velvet, and disperse into those fall ranges. So that's what I'm doing now. I don't really run cameras now or each season until about this time. I run cameras over corn. It's legal in Iowa, but you always want to talk with your game warden, your local game warden, and ask him what you have to do, how far away from your hunting spots you need to be and stuff like that, because you don't want to go into it and then find out later that you were technically baiting. In some states it doesn't matter because baiting is legal. You can hunt over the bait, so it doesn't matter. And in some states you can't use it no matter what. So you end up putting cameras on scrapes, mock scrapes, rub posts, stuff like that. But here, like I said, it's legal to put it over corn. So I take advantage of that because I want to get a picture of what's in each area as quickly as I can and keep my cameras moving. I'll probably be in this one location for about 2 weeks at the most with this camera. My goal is to find back some of these bucks that we've hunted in the past, see what else might have moved into the area, just to get a general inventory of what's here, what shooters are available. I pick spots that are easy to get to. I drove up to this one on the four-wheeler. I'm not going to go into the timber. I'm going to go out to the fringes where I think the deer are feeding and disturb them as little as possible. And I'm really trying to target that heavy 8-pointer that we filmed back in early August. And I've got 3 places where I think I can find that deer. So that's my goal with these cameras that we're putting out today, is to try to find that buck. Right now, unless something else shows up, he's my number 1. So hopefully we'll have some pictures to show you in the next episode, get a pretty good idea, at least on these 3 spots, what's available. In the coming weeks, like I said, I'm going to walk you through this process on my place, but I know the guys in Kentucky are still hunting. Missouri's going to open, Wisconsin's opening. We're going to have a lot of action for you now, starting to come at a pretty rapid pace. So that's it for this week. I appreciate you joining me. We'll see you right back here again next week for the next episode of Midwest Whitetail. And remember to always dream big.
Oh, just center punched him.
We got an arrow here. I see horns, boys. And man, I was wrong. He's in velvet. That's a stud.